What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. After the first week of free agency, I want to talk about how the Jets' plan for the NFL draft is becoming a little bit more clear. So the Jets' free agency approach, outside of spending for the quarterback in Justin Fields, and that's kind of what you have to do. It's, that's what the market dictates, and while he may have gotten more money than what we were originally anticipating, it's not crazy money. He's being paid as like the 21st quarterback in the NFL, which that's just, the prices are so high right now that it's pretty much what the market is dictating. So without that, and then you also add on top of it the Brandon Stevens contract, which was a little bit more of a surprise, the 3-year deal, at $12 million AAV. That was a little bit more than we anticipated the Jets spending at cornerback number 2. And yes, after a little bit of a a little bit of a rumor that he was going to play safety and was listed as a free safety on the depth chart, that was quickly changed back to corner. So my assumption is he will play the number 2 corner spot. The Jets have pretty much just added depth all across the board on the offensive line, defensive line, at safety, like everywhere. It's been just a lot of depth, low-cost signings. So with that plan, there's still some obvious holes for the New York Jets at, I would say, 4 positions. And we'll go through the 4 positions and what the depth chart looks like now, and then get into how they could fix those issues going into the NFL draft. So the 4 spots, I say, and this is not in a particular order, but let's just go through. At tight end right now, that room is Ruckert, Smart, and Kuntz as the 3 tight ends. The wide receiver room, Wilson, Lazard, Gibson, Corley, and the newly added Tyler Johnson. Right tackle is Okorafor and Warren, and strong safety Tony Adams and Jalen Simpson. So those are 4 pretty weak spots position-wise for the New York Jets. And at wide receiver, just backtracking for a moment here, Allen Lazard is not guaranteed to be on this roster. The Jets actually gave him the opportunity to seek a trade. He could be a cut candidate at some point, saves you $6 million doing that. But yeah, you signed Tyler Johnson, who's really like probably a 4th wide receiver. And you have guys like Gibson and Corley who are on the younger side that just really haven't shown you a whole lot as pass catchers at the wide receiver position. So that's a major issue, right? And same thing with the tight end room. Ruckert hasn't really developed the way that we thought he would. Smart has some pass catching upside, but he's probably more like a tight end 3. At tackle, I don't know if you want Okorafor starting for you. I think he's better depth than Carter Warren. I think he's better depth than Carter Warren, but is he a starting caliber right tackle? He was from 2020 through 2022 with the Steelers, but things kind of went awry for him in New England. He tried to change his position from right tackle to left tackle. It didn't really work out. I think he's better suited as a depth option there. And then Tony Adams is really more of a free safety than he is a strong safety. He's not really coming down and playing in the box. Neither is Jalen Simpson. So they have to find somebody to fill that role too. Now, in order to do this, there's a couple first round options for honestly most of these. I don't think they're going to spend a first round pick on safety, so I'm going to skip over that. But you can make a legitimate case for tight end, wide receiver, and right tackle for the New York Jets in the first round, assuming Abdul Carter's not there or Mason Graham's not there, which I think both of those guys are going to go in the top 5, we'll call it. So at tight end in the first round is Tyler Warren, who I accidentally or mistakenly Freudian slip said his name for Carter Warren. That seems like the favorite right now. Like if you had to guess what it would be, now there's a chance they go other positions, but I think he would be an immediate impact player. You look at just the history of young quarterbacks in this league and having a tight end to work with, the kind of impact that it has for them. Cole Kmet did a really nice job with Justin Fields early in his career. And I think Warren would be such a huge impact for the Jets as a run blocker, which the Jets are going to run the crap out of the football in 2025, but also as a pass catcher, security blanket option, and someone who could, split the seam and push help you push the ball down the field. At wide receiver, Ted McMillan. I know some people are worried because he didn't run You could say the same thing about Drake London, who ended up being a top 10 pick and has been really good in the NFL. He's a bigger outside receiver. I think he would complement well with Garrett Wilson. You wouldn't have to pay him for a few years. You'd be getting him at a relatively cheap rate for the first, 4 years of his career. So that would be enticing to me. I think two of my favorite options right now are Tyler Warren and Tet McMillan. Honestly, between the two, I think I'd lean Tyler Warren because tight end would have that dual impact in the run game and in the passing game, but I would not be upset, obviously, if they went Tet McMillan. You could trade back even and recoup more capital and then target maybe like another Ohio State wide receiver, Ibuka, which if we're going to just make this the Ohio State Jets on offense, then that would kind of fit that narrative. So there is a trade back option in the first round as well. Right tackle Armand Membu is flying up draft boards after his performance in the combine. It's a huge position of need for the Jets at right tackle. He's really athletic, would be great getting out in space in the run game. I would not be mad at the Jets drafting an offensive lineman. I don't think I could ever get in a spot where I'll be upset about the Jets going offensive line early in the draft because how important it is. But after spending a left tackle pick in round 1 a year ago with Fashanu, I'd rather go the pass catcher route at either tight end or wide receiver, but you can sell me on Armand Membu there as well. For some mid-round options at safety, two that jump out to me are Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame in the second round, or Jonas Sanker, who's probably like a third or fourth rounder out of Virginia. I think Sanker is someone who, he's a late day 2, maybe early day 3 pick. I think he'd come in and play for you right away, and it's going to be important for Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji when building out this roster to find guys in the middle rounds that could come in and be role players from you out of the gate. I'm not saying that Sanker is going to come in and be the best strong safety in the game, but can he come in and do a job? That's what we're hoping for at that point. At right tackle, my favorite, right tackle option on day 2 is Ozzie Trapilo, who played a ton of right tackle at Boston College. He kind of played all over the offensive line, but he's a really versatile piece. I think it makes, honestly, a lot of sense for the Jets to either take him in the second or third round. Again, that's someone who I think could come in and play right away for you. Can the Jets be a normal team and find a starting caliber offensive lineman outside of the top 2 rounds? I mean, they've struggled with that. Olu Fashanu, first round pick. Joe Tippmann, second round pick. AVT, first round pick. There's a lot of high end draft picks on this offensive line. And it would be nice, instead of drafting the Carter Warren and Max Mitchells of the world, who unfortunately, let's just call it as it is, they're borderline roster players for you. Can you find someone who could come in and be a decent starting caliber player? That'd be ideal. At wide receiver, some names that I like in the second round. Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State, I think would be a good fit. Jack Besh is another option that I think really makes a lot of sense. Those are two guys that really stand out to me as day 2 options if the Jets don't take wide receiver in the first round. And at tight end, there's some other options outside of just Tyler Warren in the first round. But I like Terrence Ferguson, Mason Taylor, Gunnar Helm, those names. And of course, I can't go a show without mentioning Jackson Hawes at tight end, but that's blocking tight end in the 5th round we're talking about. But if we're looking for someone who could come in outside of the first round, guys that I like, a lot of people really like Harold Fannin Jr. and Elijah Arroyo also. That would be fine, but my preference on day 2 would be one of Mason Taylor, Terrence Ferguson, or Gunnar Helm. Those are just my guys at the tight end position, and I'm not saying that Fannin Jr. or Arroyo can't work out, but those are more big slot tight ends than, kind of all around the formation tight ends. And with what the Jets are trying to do, I just think the other options might make more sense if they don't go with Tyler Warren. So we'll see. But in my opinion, I think if it was up to me, you might have to spend the first 2 picks in the first and second round on tight end and wide receiver. Those rooms are just so barren. You could also make the case for right tackle. But I think safety, maybe you wait on a little bit. And then, of course, you continue to add depth on the defensive line and at other positions of need as well. Guys, let me know your thoughts. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll catch you next time.